live. Hey, you're not even in the class yet. Get on the video.
Oh. Oh
yeah. A little late getting this one started. Is that you?
What?
That's on.
Yes.
Excitement.
Or to your computer. Oh, we got someone else.
All right. Okay. As we take a couple minutes before we get going, and my valveless heart that looks like a tooth over there, you can just admire it. The first thing that I want to say is IAs, your internal assessments. Almost everybody got them uploaded or has them at least in Google Classroom. Now, what I want to say is IB needs all of those to be uploaded to IB, which is what we do from ManageBack. So that was the big push. If for any reason, after you've now uploaded yours, you want to make some kind of an adjustment, like you realize, oh my gosh, I forgot this, or I did this, or whatever, email me immediately, because I am going to be putting the comments, because initially I put grades, but I didn't put full robust comments. Those full robust comments also need to be added to them before they can be sent along to IB. So I will be doing that this week. So if there's anything that you would like to add to your IA, any changes you'd like to make, anything at all, please notify me as soon as possible so I can allow you the opportunity to do that. I've already gotten started on them, but if I've got to redo and make some adjustments to my comments, that's okay. I have no problem doing that. The other thing I want to note, it would be, I think it's on that table. The other thing that I want to note is thank you if you've been engaged with the work. Fantastic job. A lot of things, like I've said before, are going to go more towards being digital. I'm hoping that will make it a little easier to respond to. The other thing is next week is technically spring break, so I won't be posting any new academic content during spring break, and I won't be posting any assignments during spring break. What I will be doing is I'll be available for anybody who needs to. Sorry, I have to plug this all the way in. I will be available for anybody who needs to have questions answered about work, about IB, about anything. So if you do have questions, feel free to email me. I'll respond to those. If you need me to hop on Zoom and explain something, I'll do that. Also, as we're going, please let me know if there are adjustments that you would like to see to the way that I'm presenting material to you. I know when we do these videos, when I do the live videos for the seniors, more of them tend to be watched after the fact as opposed to live. So I'm trying to do with them as much as I can. Hang on. But also the PowerPoint type videos that I've uploaded to the Google Classroom. What I'm doing is I'm tearing apart the PowerPoints, I'm making them smaller, so fewer slides, and I'm trying to explain them as we go along to make sure that you have some context instead of just content. So if there's anything like you'd like me to go even more in depth with the explanation, or you think you'd like more slides, or anything, any kind of a suggestion or something that you think would be more helpful to you, please let me know, right? This is a new experience for all of us, and I want to make sure that it's the most enriching experience for everybody that I possibly can. Okay, so that said, the first thing I want to do is kind of explain some of the stuff we went over. Now, when you really think about the human body, and you think about humans in general, we are a product, or we're driven by two things that really happen. One of them is electricity, and the other is, the reason I do Zoom on some days, the reason I don't do Zoom typically, Faustino, is because since we don't have as many participants, this is more of a lecture style. The goal is to move over to one day where we have a Zoom class where I'm taking more questions, and another day where it's more of a lecture. So yes, we can do Zoom, but I wanted to make sure, one, that everybody's on it, and two, try to make sure it's accessible to as many people as possible. But yes, in short. So what I'm talking about, though, is with people, we are essentially a product of chemical reactions and electrical impulses, right? Now, at the forefront of it, this may seem a little ridiculous and a little crazy, but if you really think about it, and we think about it from a chemistry standpoint, right? When you think about chemistry, all chemical interactions are, in some way, shape, or form, they're electrical, because it's about the electrons, right? Shared electrons, electrons that are being taken, that's all what chemistry is talking about, really. So much of chemistry is about the interaction of electrons, and that interaction of electrons is electricity. So us being beings that are made up of atoms, and those atoms having electrons that interact, a lot of what goes on with us is going to be electricity and, again, chemical reactions. So when we talk about the heart, what makes the heart contract, if you remember from previous notes, previous discussions, previous assignments, is that electrical impulse that hits here. And in the notes we explained that that's the sinoatrial node, the SA node. And the SA node, Carlos did a question, and the SA node, what it does is it brings electricity into the system. And the electricity that it brings into the system here first gets the contraction going, then it goes down here, actually it goes this way, where it gets other contraction. It gets that ventricular contraction going, right? And it gets the contraction going by the electrical impulse from the SA node triggers action potentials, right? If you can't remember what the action potentials were, please drop a note about that, and we can go over action potentials again later. But action potentials are essentially, if we remember, that change in the electricity within the cell. Yes, sir.
The question is, can we try a Zoom class maybe more?
I referred to that. You were listening to your headphones and not paying attention, son. So, bad job on your part. I apologize. For right now, we have Carlos manning the chat and answering questions or asking the questions as opposed to Ayana, so it could be a little rough. Danny, better late than never, but that's still two demerits. Not really, but whatever. So are we with me so far? Did we understand the electrical aspect of the heart, how electricity makes the heart beat? If you didn't understand that, please put a question. If you did, just hit a thumbs up into the chat real quick. And while you do that, I'll dance.
Daniel said yes. Jennifer said
dance.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Cassandra said yes.
So did we also understand why during ventricular fibrillation, when the heart's going crazy, why we hit it with an electrical impulse that goes from here, right? This would be your positive.
My adapt. Melanie said you
Oh,
want.
Carlos.
Okay.
To your negative, right? Because when we do this, when we have that negative down here, we have the positive up here, what we're doing, or the other way, whichever way you got it set, the point is, you really want your to go from here. So it's going to hit it with a pulse here, it's going to go through, and essentially it's going to follow a very similar path when we're using a defibrillator to the path that the SA node would hit it with. So what is this, Crystal? This is a defibrillator. So this is defibrillation. This is showing defibrillation. So if I had a defibrillator, right, it's why I would put one and then the other on the side. It's to get that electrical impulse going through the heart in a path that is very similar to the path taken from the SA node. Now, the reason for this is if we go here and then here, we're kind of working against the SA node because we're trying to cause a contraction here followed by a contraction in the atria. Whereas if we start with a contraction up here and then a contraction in the ventricles, now we're following the more natural pattern. I've always found it interesting that in almost every show about medicine, they always use these when the heart completely stops. On the temple. No, not on the temple. On the heart. On the heart. Here, generally we use it because the heartbeat is irregular, and you're trying to just correct that heartbeat. When you have shocks, up here, that's to get it. Yeah, on the chest. So when you have them up on the head, that's where you're trying to get shocks to go across the brain, because again, the brain is essentially all controlled by electrical impulses. So anytime when you introduce electricity in, from a medical perspective, you're doing so to try to correct things, and if you're doing it different, you're if it's an accident, then you're gonna mess things up. Carlos.
Maya has asked, how could this be similar to a pacemaker?
This is very similar to a pacemaker. Now, a pacemaker, with a pacemaker, it would be an implant that would be over here. And then on this implant, I would have wires. I would have a little wire that would go here. And the wire, as the heart needed it, the wire would send an electrical impulse. And the wire also, if needed, will send a large impulse, okay? Typically, it'll send small impulses that only serve to mildly correct. But if the heart is going into a AFib where it's really, really just beating completely irregular, right? And it's not beating properly at all, then this pacemaker is going to send a large shock. But again, it's going to send a large shock to the area that the SA node is. So it's going to try to send that shock in the normal place where the heart has a shock occur, right? It's going to try to replicate the natural occurrence of electricity as closely as possible to get things regulated and to get them back on schedule. Sound good? Fantastic. Now, this first part, this was generally to talk about this stuff from yesterday. How does electricity in the heart work? But there's more to it, right? There's more to it. So we want to think about really quickly, and I do want, Carlos is actually going to pay attention to the chat. Hi, Cassie. Carlos is going to pay attention to the chat because he's going to let me know what some of your answers are. I want you to think about and respond to what are some things that will influence the rate at which my heart beats. So Mr. Lay is standing here right now. If I was to take my heartbeat, let's say it was 68 beats per minute, right? What are some things that are going to influence that heart rate, that are going to change it? So I'm going to go start writing over here. Carlos is going to monitor the chat, and he's going to start telling me what some of your answers are.
Crystal says temperature.
Okay.
I don't know how to say. Guzman said blood pressure. Cassandra said exercise. Maya also said exercise. Carla also said exercise.
Blood pressure.
Faustino said emotions. Daniel said anxiety. Maya said a heart attack. Jonathan, I think, agrees with heart attack.
Anxiety. Who said anxiety again?
Anxiety was Daniel.
And with emotions, Faustino?
Yes.
My boys right there. That's my boys.
Melanie said blood loss.
Blood loss. Ooh.
And then, do you have the heart attack?
I do not have heart attack down there.
Okay, that was Maya and Jonathan.
Okay. First off, great job being very responsive here. Great job being very, very responsive. So let's talk about these. Now,
Maya said seizure.
Seizure? Seizure. Whoa. Seizure. I can't wait till we get to that point, because seizure is this whole bunch of stuff that we're going to look at. Now,
Crystal said fat as well. Fat question mark.
Fat. Now, where fat comes in is body weight, right? Body weight does tend to play a role in blood pressure, which
fat in arteries.
Okay, which can be affected by a lot of things. Fat in the arteries, in particular. Yeah, but it doesn't really necessarily affect the heartbeat. What that does, it makes it, the heart works harder to stay at a consistent beat. Heart attack is actually a result of the heartbeat being really off. So when our heart is beating really, really fast for a prolonged period of time, that's a heart attack. It's almost like a cramping of the heart, right? If you think about it, right? Like if you really overwork a muscle, eventually it's like I can't go anymore. I can't go anymore. The heart is a muscle, and it can go at a steady rate for a very long time. But when it gets forced to go more than it can take, that's when a heart attack occurs. And this irregular heartbeat, this affected heartbeat, that's what results in a heart attack. But I do want to talk about these. Blood pressure can have an influence, yes. All of these are really where I want to focus on. Blood loss is one that, to be honest, I didn't even think about. But yes, it can, because if you have less blood volume, that heartbeat's going to go lower. Not necessarily a good thing. Exercise. Exercise is the one that we all think about, right? I'm moving faster. I'm lifting stuff. I'm punching Carlos. My heart's going to go up. Why? Why is that happening? Why is my heart rate elevating as I'm doing more work? Do you know? I know, but do you know? Do you know? What do we got? Who has an idea as to why our heart rate increases, Carlos, as we exercise? Why do we think our heart rate increases? What is the biological function of that? Crystal?
Because we need to sweat. Movement. Guzman says movement.
Well, who are you calling Guzman? That's Monse.
Oh, I don't know his...
Monse, I apologize that one, he can't pronounce Guzman, and two, that he's just calling you Guzman instead of... I apologize to you, Monse.
apologize. I really do.
Why is blood flowing through the body at a fast pace, though? That's the thing. Why? It's okay if we don't know, but we're going to figure that out. Temperature. As our temperature goes up, that happens. Oh, look at you, Faustino. I really am happy that these two got mentioned. Anxiety and emotions. Anxiety and emotions. Something's breathing faster, Carla. Something's breathing faster. And that's why it has to happen, the blood beating. Carla said that we're breathing faster. And they go hand in hand, and we're going to look at that a lot in our next unit. But what it really comes down to is the cells. The cells. To do more work, the cells need more oxygen. Now, anxiety and emotions. This is a really big part, and I'm really very pleased that the two of you mentioned that. Because if we think about it, right? You've been sitting there, and let's say you went into a class. Maybe you had a large project due, and you didn't do it. Your heart might be beating a little faster. You see that person who you really, really like, or who you really can't stand. Your heart beats a little faster. You're asked to do something that you're just not comfortable with, and you're not sure that you can do well, and you've got this anxious feeling, and I don't know that I can do this. Our heart beats a little faster. Holding your breath does increase your heart rate. These things are the result of hormones, right? And we will get into the role hormones play in heart rate. It's very important. It's very important from a biological standpoint, right? Which is one of the things that we want to look at. So we want to look at what is the biological reason that these things happen. Many of you identified with when we exercise, there's a biological reason, and you tied it into oxygen, right? And which is great. These are the things. These are a lot of the main things. But what about if I was standing up, like I am, versus sitting down or laying down? Would that have an influence on my heartbeat? And if so, why? These are some of the questions that we are going to seek to answer, ladies and gentlemen, and you are going to seek to answer them by doing a lab. I know it's a little weird because we're not in class, but we can still do labs together. So what I have done is in Google Classroom, I have given you an assignment, and the assignment is to do a exercise-based heart lab. So you have 3 imaginary people, and you have data on them, and you're going to collect some data on yourself. So yes, you're going to take your resting heart rate. If you don't know how to do that, the easiest way is to, on your phone, set a timer for, say, I don't know, 6 seconds. Find your pulse. You can find it here. If you've never taken it before, you can find it here, and you can find it here. Right? No, you cannot use your dog. Now, once you've found your pulse, take your pulse for 6 seconds, multiply that by 10, that's your resting heart rate. Now, I would like you to find your resting heart rate standing, sitting, laying down. Then what you're going to do is you'll exercise and find the heart rate again. Now, there are instructions on the page for what you are to do. Now, here is the thing about turning in the assignment. When you turn in the assignment, I want you to do it the way that works best for you. So, if the way that works best for you is to print out the paper, fill out everything on the paper, take photos of that or scan that in and send that to me, that's fine. If the way that works best for you is to make a digital copy of it, that's also fine. If the way that works best for you is to look at the page or look at the screen, write everything down on a separate sheet of paper and take pictures of that, that's also fine. What I will be doing this week, it's time consuming, but I'm going to do it, is I will have a folder that I will share with each individual that has your name on it. And so all you have to do when submitting online work is just place it into that folder and then not worry about it. I'm going to go ahead and allow all kinds of different ways of you doing this. The idea is we know, as of right now, we know that everything is shut down until at least April 30th. So we know we're not going to be in school during the month of April. So since we are going to continue doing learning, I want to streamline everything as much as I can, make it as easy for you to engage with the learning and to complete the assignments. So your job, I would like you to try to get this done by Friday, but the thing that I do understand is you have work from all of your other classes. So does this mean we can turn in all the previous work there? Hang on, Maya, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. The thing that I would definitely like is for you to have this lab done and turned in by Sunday. Next week, I know it's been stressful. Next week, what I would like you to do is if you have stuff that you feel that you need to get caught up on, get caught up on it. Other than that, I'm not going to assign anything. None of your other teachers are going to be assigning anything new. Take the time, kind of find your center, relax a little bit. Yes, to Maya's question. Maya's question was, does that mean we can turn in all the other previous work in the folder that will be set up for us? The answer is yes. If you've already turned it in to me, several of you have emailed me work already. You are not responsible for resubmitting work. You've already sent it to me. That's fine. Only things that you haven't submitted yet, feel free to put them in that folder. That way you can kind of forget about it. If you take pictures of it, put it in that folder, and you want to recycle the paper, go ahead and do that. Again, a lot of things are really about making things easy for you. I do have one ask for you. If there is somebody who you think may not have been engaged with the work, if there's somebody who you think just might not be, they're overwhelmed because they're getting so many emails, as I know you have, or they're just having any kind of an issue. If there's anybody who you think is in that position, reach out to them and let them know to reach out to me, to their advisor, to whoever they want to, even if they're not doing work because they're just feeling overwhelmed right now. That might be happening, and if that's the case, let us know, because right now we're really here for you. Just because we're not in the building doesn't mean that we're here for you any less. So you will be posting all assignments on Google Classroom. I will Well, all the assignments are already posted there, either in the discussion or as a class. But yes, all the assignments that you have, there's no assignments that are posted anywhere else, Faustino. But I will still continue posting the assignments there, and you will just turn them in on the folder. If you have any questions about anything, format or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me, so I can help you and we can make sure that we get everything turned in. Faustino, you have nothing to be sorry for, bud. You are a wonderful person. And you gave us great input here. I also do want to give a shout out to Carlos for today, helping man the chat and doing Ayana's the job she normally does, but she's busy right now. I also want to thank everybody for all of the participation that they gave, except for Crystal, because she is annoying. But all the rest of you, thank you for a great class of participation. Do anticipate that as we come back from break, we will be having on Tuesdays, we will have either a PowerPoint type thing uploaded where you will get information from me, or we will occasionally have a Zoom class where I go over PowerPoints and answer questions, and then we will continue Wednesday here live on YouTube. Everyone have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week. If you have questions, reach out to me. Other than that, I hope things are going wonderful for you. I don't like you, son. All right. See you everybody later. Carlos, why don't you say goodbye?
Bye.
Is homework being posted over break? I'll answer that question. I mentioned it earlier, Monse, but you were probably too
No.
worried about him saying your name wrong. There will be no new homework posted over break. Bye, everybody.
Shout out Crystal for coming in late.
No. Bye, everybody.